Hello, hello, hello. Happy 2025 to you. Lovely to see you back in this space again. Welcome one, welcome all. My name is Angel, and today we are talking about the intentions that I got for my practice in 2025. Excuse me while I pull away the cat hair that I'm now suddenly seeing on my desk. Apologies. Okay, so I've got quite a bit to get into, and I'm planning on showing my January decks in this video as well, but I don't know how long it's going to be, so we'll see how we go. You know as much as I do, and you probably know more because the description probably explains what we're doing in this video. But let's start with the things that are going to be appearing as new practices in 2025. Let's get into it. So let's start with journaling. Before we take a look forward, let's take a look back to 2024. Now, this is the way that I documented the decks that I was using, things that were resonating for me in my practice, and things like that. So every month I would draw out a page. This idea I got, I think, from Alvine, one of their videos, and I really liked it. Instead of having a list of decks that I used, I drew this shelf and drew books on a shelf, except they are to represent the decks I've used. I make a note of new decks that come into my collection, my card of the month, which last year I pulled from this deck, which I can't see changing, to be honest. And I even pulled my monthly card, the monthly energy, which I pulled from the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck by Kim Krantz. And obviously I did a write-up on that, so I could look back and easily remind myself what the energy of the month was. I even wrote down things that were resonating for me, any spell work I want to do in the month. I tended to write down when the new moon was, when the full moon was, and even the season, the Decan. I didn't do that for November for some reason. That's a bit bizarre. Anywho, so yes, so that's what I did last year, and I wanted something this year. Oh, sorry. I wanted something this year that was more of a quick reference, I'm going to say. So let's get into it. So I had to pan right out to be able to fit this monster of a journal in. So this is in no means completed, obviously. This is going to last the whole of 2025. I still need to decorate the cover. But yeah, let's look at January's pages so far. So the plan with this journal was to document everything that's resonating for me in my practice. And first of all, I'm feeling really drawn to the colour purple or indigo this month. I tended to feel that way in January. So I decided to, as you saw in the video, decorate the pages. I've got some bits and pieces that I've gathered. This card I've pulled from the Secret Language of Colour card, which I didn't use last year. That's another intention to be using some of the decks I didn't use last year. And I also want to pull Molly Roberts' Art Magic deck so that I can do some art witchery throughout the month based around the colour that I'm really feeling that's really resonating for me. So that's why these two are here. These are some bits and pieces I've gathered just to complete the pages. So my plan is, as you can see here, this is the original idea that I had in my previous journal that I showed you. The bookcase and the books, well, the books are going to be representing the tarot deck. So I'm going to write the decks I'm using, which I haven't done yet, in on this, so I can see it as from a quick glance almost. So I've picked up some bits and pieces from my crafting stash along the way. This was a piece of scrapbook paper that I had, which I thought really fitted the season. I'm going to pop a picture in now how it looks outside my window. This is like a perfect representation of the season. This is a little booklet that I made to represent the colour that I'm really feeling drawn to this month. So the colour is obviously purple. I made this out of a magazine page, just folded it up, and then threw some glue at it, threw some, what's this called, washi tape. This was a business card that I got from a crystal shop, which I popped in. I did a bit of research into the colour purple, what it means. So this is going to be stuck down. So yeah, so you can see there, that was the back of the magazine page. So I just used what I had basically. These were something that I got a long time ago from the tip page on Facebook, and they were in like a little box, and they were all about the different plants and how to look after them and things. So it had on the back, you can see here, like how to look after them and things like that. And what I did was I just backed it in black paper, which I can then add other snippets of information from my month. And I think it looked quite pretty on the page. Then I had a Jiffy bag, which is in purple, which I don't know what I'm going to use for yet, but I added it at the minute in case I decide to do anything with it. And these are, which I think is the best feature of this paper bag journal, which are the pockets. So my plan is this is going to obviously be January's page, and then we're going to move on to February's page here. My plan is to add snippets about my practice, possibly when I go back at the end of the month and actually make note of the decks I use. I think I'm going to pop that in here, along with February's decks I used at the end of the month for the February as well, like as a recap. As well as that, these little beauties are going to be going in these pockets, these envelopes I've created. Now, this is an idea that I'm sure you've seen on Lisa Perez's idea, Lisa Perez's channel, sorry. I was really inspired by their idea, and I saw it last year when they were doing it, and it didn't really resonate for me, but this year it resonated for me. And that's for two reasons, which I'm going to explain now. So the first reason is that I want to use decks this year that I haven't been using or hadn't used in 2024. And I kind of started looking through my tarot collection in November, end of last year, and I'd split my tarot section, or my tarot collection, into two sections: decks I've used, decks I haven't used. And the decks I haven't used are sitting now waiting to be used in 2025. So yes, anyway, so I wanted to use a deck that I hadn't used in 2024 to use for these envelopes. So I'm going to show you the decks I use for that in just a second. But I also was inspired by an Instagram post that I saw of somebody that was like saving money, and they had created like a folder with envelopes where they were saving money every month, and I really like that idea. So my plan now is to, once I take out the cards for the month, I replace it with money. Now, I haven't put a specific sum of money that I'm going to be saving every month. I'm just going to, roll with it, and whatever I can save, I'm going to, pop into the envelopes. And the plan is to have these envelopes in the pockets. And I'm that creature that, I'm the kind of person that when it's out of sight, it's out of mind. So my plan is, hopefully, fingers crossed, by the end of 2025, I'm going to have like a nice little bonus of money, which I can, use maybe for Christmas, to buy my Christmas goodies. I'm not sure. We shall see how it goes. So yeah, but I'm not putting not restraints on myself, but I'm not going to set a specific sum, because some months there might be a little bit more over, and other months there might be not so much over. So whatever I can put in is a bonus. But I thought that was a really good idea to use the envelopes. Now, the envelopes I created out of second-hand piano paper, which I bought. It was a book that I bought from the second-hand shop, and I just threw some glue at it, used my corner rounder and rounded off the edges, wrote some dates on it, bish bash bosh, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, and off you go. So yes, that was my journal. Goodness me, we are already 6 minutes into the video. Let's pop these bits back and let's take a look at the decks that I used for the envelopes. Let's get into it. So the decks that I chose were the Rock and Roll Tarot, which was an indie deck that I found on eBay. This was my January card, the Two of Swords. I really like the conflict, because I've got a lot of conflict going on within my shadow work right at the minute. This was another deck that I really wanted to use this year. This is the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. And I love this card that came out the 1st of January with the bison on it, because the bison is my animal ally. This was the Queen of Earth. I looked at these cards yesterday for the first time, and I loved this message that came with this one, which was, have you disconnected from your true nature? Caution against making a home a hiding place. And then I had used Spiritual AF, and this was the card, go outside and do shit, which I loved. With that message from the Queen of Earth, caution against making a home a hiding place, and get outside and stop hiding. And just FYI, I have had, or do have, 13 days off over this season, I go back to work on Monday, and I've been out once in those 13 days. So this was totally relevant to January. Oopsie. Then I mindfully, purposefully chose these two cards from the Moonology deck. The new moon, which is Aquarius for this month, and the full moon, which I'm going to be working with, obviously, you know, when the moon phases come about. And then I also want to use this deck, which is Stacey DeMarco's Queen of the Moon Oracle, which I hadn't used last year either. And this was a random card that I pulled, the Unexpected. So these cards are now sitting out on my altar space. Oopsie, not the camera, sorry. And obviously journaled about these, and these cards and, you know, the message behind them are going to be going into that journal I just showed you. So I've got like a really quick look back on the month in one place, hence the reason that I created the journal in the first place. So yes, so those were my first two intentions for 2025. Let's get into the rest. Yeah, let's do it. So my next intention, which I've already touched on very slightly, is my intention to use the decks I didn't use in 2024. And I mentioned in my end of year tarot tag at Chanel Days that my indie decks had really taken a back seat this year, or last year, sorry, 2024. So that's my kind of plan for this year, to look and work more with my indie decks, and generally the decks that didn't get a time on my desk in 2024. So I bought a couple of decks that, you know, are in the selection after recategorizing my collection. So these are the decks that are now sitting with the others that haven't been used in 2024. So these are the backs. This is the Stunning Tarot. I don't, which edition was this? It's third edition. And this was the, oh, what's this called? The Naked Heart Tarot. These are the backs. They're beautiful. Haven't edged mine. Don't think I will. Love the cardstock on both of these. The cards are gorgeous. Used this one quite a bit when I first got it. Used this a little bit. I love the artwork, but I think this one needs a bit of a deep dive. Now, I did purchase the guidebook, which you get from the creator, which I think when I purchased it, I think you kind of like make a donation of what you think you should pay for the guidebook, and then they send you like a PDF file, which I did. But I still think, oh, I like this. Oh, I really like this. Oh, sorry. I still think I need to do a deep dive with this, which leads me on to another intention of deep diving some of the decks that I haven't been using in my collection. Yeah, before I move on to that intention, I'm just, sorry, we're here, we're there, we're everywhere. Love the bison energy, can I just say. So I'm wondering whether to kind of create this kind of thing again. This is my wild deck jar, my monthly wild card deck jar, which I used in 2023, I think, and I stopped in 2024 because I was using quite a few decks for some really deep work, and I didn't have the brain power to bring in another just wild card deck just randomly, because I was just doing such intense, deep, meaningful work. Not this isn't meaningful, but I thought I didn't need another focus. So this has kind of taken a bit of a back seat, but I'm wondering if I can use the same concept. So these are, I can't think whose channel I saw this on originally. I'm really sorry. I will link my video from when I created this, which possibly will say who I got the idea from. I apologise, I can't remember who it was. What I did was I wrote prompts for the deck that I was going to pull as a wild card, and I'm thinking about doing the same thing, but writing all the decks that I want to use in 2025 on these little pieces of paper and just randomly drawing them. One a month, obviously. That's a possibility. I don't want to be locked into having to use a deck that I'm not feeling drawn to at that time. Although I'm quite free and easy, I'm actually really feeling these two together. Is anybody else feeling that through the camera, or is it just me? I like this white space around the image here and a lot going on here. I think it's quite a good balance. I'm actually really feeling it, and I did not expect. I just randomly pulled these two off my shelf. Sorry, that was the wrong card. That was the card. No. That was the card that should have come out. Oh, I'm liking it a lot. Sorry, now I'm really intrigued. Let's just take a couple more. Hierophant and the Heart of Cups. Oh, and I really like this bison energy going on here with the Hermit. I quite like that. Oh, oh, okay, so two more. I'm really sorry, two more. Two of Swords with the Ace of Coins. Okay, last one. Promise. And what's that? The Five of, I think this is Wands and Three of Pentacles. Ooh, I'm going to have to rewatch that and see how the first cards spoke to each other. I'm actually quite intrigued. But anyway, that's my intention. It could end up being this prompt, or not prompt, but like jar again, where I pull it as a monthly plan, as a monthly thing. So yes, so that is another intention, to work more with the decks that I haven't been working with and haven't had a chance to have time on my desk. With that being said, let's move on to the next intention. So to take another look forward, we're taking a quick look back to 2024. This was the items or the things that I used for Kelly Bear's hashtag Tarot Advent. I love that project. I was totally inspired by it. I used the Bohemian Gothic Tarot. It was a fantastic way to bond with a new deck, or a deck that's been in my collection for a while. It was a great way to get the creative juices flowing, because this was another paper bag journal that I used for the project. I just really liked it, and I really want to continue this in 2025, which I'm doing. That's another of my intentions. So if you were living under a rock in December and you didn't really, you hadn't heard of Kelly Bear's project, we were choosing one deck, pulling 3 cards from the 1st to the 25th, or the 24th, sorry, of December. And then on the last day, on the 25th, we were pulling the last 6 cards. And every time we pulled 3 cards, we would remove them from the deck, so the deck would get smaller and smaller and smaller. It was just a fantastic way to, bond with a deck, I felt. And we could use those 3 cards in any way we wanted to. And I liked the free and easiness of it all. So the deck I'm deciding to use in January for the same project is Tarot of the Vampires. I've put mine in this bag because look at this, it's perfect. And of course, I had to make me, well, you know where this is going, don't you? You do! I had to make myself a paper bag journal. Of course I did. Painting a bit of, la-di-da on the front to match the backs of the cards. Here's a back. This is the back of the card. This is the journal. Yeah, threw some paint at it, loved it, really enjoyed it. And obviously, I've got my super duper pockets. I've got a pocket here, and I decorated the journal with like some roses, which I just threw some paint at. I put threw some paint at the pages. These are the pockets. I mean, it's just fantastic. And I bought some black paper for my Bohemian Gothic Tarot journal when I was doing that project in December. So that's left over, which I'm still using up. I've added some packaging paper, which I can use. Threw some more paint at the page. Made another envelope out of the piano paper. I found another flower card, which I've backed, so I can add information to that. I've got some paper there, and I've even got like some pull-out paper as well. So my plan is to do the same as I did for Kelly Bear's project, but with the Vampire Tarot, the Tarot of the Vampires. So my first day, I created a deck interview, and look at this. I forgot I had this, and I'm getting all my crafty stash out just to, make it a bit prettier. This was a piece of paper that I was just using when I was painting the pages, and once I'd finished with it, I was like, oh, that feels like somebody's, a vampire has like sucked the blood out of somebody, and this is the residue left over, and I was like, I'm going to pop that in because I like that. So I'm on the 4th day. Is it the 3rd, 4th day? I don't know. I can't remember where we are, what the date is. I'm in that period of time between, Christmas and New Year and after New Year, when I don't know who I am, what I'm doing, where I should be. And I won't know that until Monday when I'm back to work and reality sets in. Obviously deep dive in this one. Should I show you the deck? I'm sure you've seen it. And it's a deck I've had in my collection for a long time. It's a deck that has appeared in several videos where I've said, oh, I haven't felt called to this one. Edge mine in black. These are the backs, which I think are gorge. Hence the reason I did the same on the, what's it called? The journal, and these are some of the cards. So yeah, and it hadn't been calling to me. And then, if you've seen on my channel recently, you know I've been called to this dark aesthetic. And I was just like, I should totally get that out. And my plan was actually, to be honest, in December, was to take a break from this project. And I'm going to say that my plan is not to do it every single month. So my plan was to do it in on the even months. So, you know, February, April, for instance, and blah, 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 blah. But now I'm thinking I'm going to do it January, March, and on the odd months instead. So I do a month and I have a month off, because I don't want to get burned out, because I really enjoy this practice. But, not a but, however, both the Bohemian Gothic and this deck has brought up or tapped into a lot of the shadow work that I'm working with. So although it's a fun project and I'm getting to know the deck, it's still giving me serious messages. And I'm thinking the other decks that I plan to use for this practice won't do that as much. Shall I show you the decks? Maybe I should show you those decks, or you know, some of the decks that have kind of caught my eye for this idea. Let's do that. So this is one of the decks that I'm feeling really excited about deep diving and using for this practice. This is the For Hexa Tarot. I've even pulled out a couple of bags which I want to put the deck in when I start using it, because you know there's nothing like being organised. And I've even created a little journal for it already, which I did over the Christmas period, you know, and I made a little tassel for it. This was actually the packaging for the Neo Tarot, which I took apart. I've rehomed that deck. It went off to my friend, and I just, you know, this is the first time that I've created a journal where I have actually stitched the signatures to like a separate piece and then glued it in afterwards. But I really like this, and I picked up the colours of the deck, you know, like the orange and the yellows and the baby blues, and I used some packaging paper. Yeah, you know, it's all a bit, you know, rustic, as I usually say. You know, it's all a bit, you know, it's all a bit. Yeah, I'm just going to stick with rustic. My plan is to paint this on here, but we'll see. But I just really like it, and it's, you know, it's going to be really cool when I do this. When I decide to deep dive this one, I think this is going to come quite quickly after the Terror of the Vampires, because I'm feeling that spark of excitement. And this I spoke about recently in a video about tapping into the fallen angel facet. I know these are fae folk, but I've mentioned this before in another video as well. I find this deck quite sharp, and I originally purchased it for my Melusina practice. It didn't resonate for me for Melusina, for their energy, and then it started to resonate for me with the glimpsed detail artwork in the artwork, sorry. And I just wonder if this is going to pick up on my facet, this fallen angel facet, if I could tap into it as angels instead of fae folk. Hence the reason I wanted a deep dive of it. Hence the reason I've already created a journal for it. Hence the reason I've already decided on, well, at least one of the bags, possibly. Well, you know, a choice between two bags of which bag I'm going to put the cards into. Stop babbling, stop talking. Let's move on to the next deck that I'm thinking about deep diving for this practice. The Landscape Tarot, or Tarot Landscapes. These are the bags. I've clearly edged it in blue, which I didn't realise I'd done. I'd obviously done this in like, I don't know, when I got it, I don't know. I've used this deck a couple of times, and I think the artwork is absolutely stunning. It really is beautiful. But the readings that I did with this deck brought up more questions than it actually answered. But I think that might be, it's, you know, it's way into my practice, it's niche in my practice, that it, you know, it throws up more questions, you know, and that's great. So I think a deep dive in this deck would be really, really helpful and really, really beneficial. I have made a couple of other paperback journals, which I haven't decorated, I haven't done anything to them at all, so there's no point showing you them, as like, you know, in preparation for deep diving the decks I'm going to show you. None of this is set in stone, apart from the For Hexa Tarot. That feels like it's set in stone. This one is really also calling to me, to be honest. I think it's going to be a great deck to deep dive and a great way to get to know it. I love this card. Another deck which I've thought about, but it's not sparking the same kind of ooh is the Marielle Tarot. I want to say zig because I'm thinking of the Spice Girls when I say that. I wanna sorry. I really I want this to call to me. I want it to, but it hasn't done so far, and I have felt really intimidated by this deck. Maybe later in the year this will, start floating my boat. I don't know. It's on my shelf as a deep dive. I don't know if I'm going to do it. I don't know if I'm going to get to it. We shall see. Time will tell. Another deck that I'm thinking might be great for this practice is the Phantom Wise Tarot. Now, I purchased this at Christmas, which I didn't show on my Christmas haul. I forgot. Oh, dropping the cards because I'm an nincompoop. And I also purchased the book. Wait, let me grab the cards. These are the backs. I really want to edge this in red because, oh, yes, please. I've shuffled them. They're a little bit like, can you hear that? Yeah, you can. They're a bit, what's the word? Linen-y? I don't know if I can say that. I think that's the wrong word. And I've heard kind of mixed reviews about this deck. People that have read the book were not so impressed with the deck, I feel, or the miners at least. But I just am feeling intrigued to it, and the black and white is really speaking to me. And I pulled the trigger and I did it. And I'm just wondering if this will also be a great way to, do a deep dive with the book and the deck with this hashtag Tarot Advent practice of Kelly Bears. I don't know if I'm going to obviously post this on Instagram when I'm doing these deep dives and mention it. And I don't know if I'm going to, it sounds a bit daft to hashtag it as Tarot Advent. Does it not? Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I think 2 more decks I've got on the shelf. So the last 2 decks, this is the Aura Soma Tarot, or Aura Soma Tarot. I've also purchased the book. This was a deck that I found possibly 2 years ago now on, I think it was eBay. And this is a bit of a strange deck. I've mentioned it before. These are the backs, which are all different. And from what I remember about this deck, the cards are channeled. And this Aura Soma is also around, as well as the tarot, there are also like these bottles that are created around each card, hence the reason they're all different. I can't remember, to be honest, but it's somehow related to the tarot with these bottles, which are channeled through this artwork, I feel. I think the artwork is absolutely stunning. There are a lot of cards. There are the 78 of the tarot, and then there is like the return journey of the Fool. So there's an extra 21 cards, I think, if memory serves correctly. These are the majors, obviously. We've got some minors which look like this. So, I'm going to say a little bit pippish. And just to get to the book here, which, I mean, it does come with a guidebook here, which is quite, basic, and it's actually in German, which is completely unhelpful unless I Google translate it. But this, for instance, explained about the cards and even the bottles. It's a whole system. I'm just going to say it's a whole system. But I found it quite interesting because I really want to focus on colours that I'm resonating with this year monthly, and I thought this would be quite interesting as well. So my plan is to deep dive this deck, which I haven't worked with at all, which is obviously an intention. I want to do this, I want to work with this year, working with decks I haven't worked with. And I just wonder if maybe this hashtag Tarot Advent might be a good way to do that. Don't quote me on that. I'm feeling a bit of a spark of excitement for this one, I've got to say. So it might well appear in this practice. Keep your eyes peeled. Let's go to the last deck. Okay, second to last deck. I'm lying. Our Tarot. This is a mass market deck. Had it for quite a while. Haven't used the deck so much. Have used the guidebook, which I'm going to show you in a wee second. These are the cards. These are the backs. I haven't edged mine. I want to do that in gold. And I love the art style in this. I love collage. I love the fact that it's based around different women in history. And I should be using this deck. And I don't know why I'm not. I love this. And so I think a deep dive in this deck would be a really great way to honour these women in history, I think, personally. And the hashtag Tarot Advent and the 3-card pull might be a really great way to do that. I think what worked for me with this challenge was that it lasted 25 days. I fell off the wagon twice, I think. So the December the 25th, I had 12 cards instead of 6 cards to read, which was fine. You know, I had time on Christmas Day to do a 12-card spread, so that was fine for me. But otherwise, I pulled 3 cards. What was that? 22 days out of 25, if my math serves me correctly. Love this. So I think that's why it feels quite, it's in bite sizes. I think that's going to really work for me, or it did work for me in December in any case. And December was quite a busy month, so fingers crossed. Sometime throughout December 2025, I'll be able to fit this in. This is the guidebook. It's a chunky, tutti fruity guidebook. It's like got so much information. What I really like about this guidebook is that the actual images are in here on a full page, which is needed because there's a lot going on in the artwork and sometimes it's difficult for me to see in the cards. And the information on each page is really, really fantastic. It goes into the life, or the reason that this person has been chosen for the card. And I think it deserves a deep dive. Now, I have used this guidebook with other decks. If I've pulled the Ace of Cups, for instance, I've gone to this guidebook to see what the Ace of Cups says and read it and used it in that way. But I haven't really used it with a deck. And as mentioned, I just think it would be a really good way to get to know the deck, bond with it, and use a deck that I haven't used last year or years previous. So 2 last decks I want to deep dive this year. I don't think I want to do it in connection with the hashtag Tarot Advent practice or project. I think this is going to be a deck that I want to deep dive, as with each individual card. I feel this is the Alchemical Visions Tarot. Check out how big this beauty is. It's ginormous. It's a ginormous deck of gorgeousness. I'm going to show you a couple of cards. I purchased this one, I think it was my birthday, can't remember. I've been umming and ahhing about it for a while. It's been in my Amazon cart, and I've been like, no, I'm not going to buy it, but I really want it. No, I'm not going to buy it. And what put me off was the size of the cards and the cost. It was quite an expensive deck. But I bit the bullet, I hit the button, I hit the buy button, and here it is. And this one is calling to me. It's like, so I'm thinking of possibly, well, actually I'm definitely going to say I want to deep dive this deck, each card individually, because there's so much going on, I think, in the cards, which deserves, taking my time over to learn its mysteries and to hear its messages. And I'm wondering if maybe to do like a drop 'em 78 deep dive with it. However, I'm going to be honest now about myself. I don't think I can keep it up daily. I think that's going to be too much. That's going to be too much pressure. It's going to burn me out, and I'm going to be like, yeah, no, this is not for me. And then I'm going to put it aside and not use it, which is a total. It's just such sacrilege. It's sacrilege, I tell you, for such a beautiful deck. So I'm wondering whether to maybe, which is going to take time, maybe deep dive a card on over 2 weeks or something. It's going to take time, but as Louis Armstrong sang, I've got all the time in the world. Or we've got all the time in the world. I don't know. I'm going to think about that one. This is not something that's going to turn up in January in any case. Possibly February. We'll have to see. But it's like, it's calling to me. I can hear it. So it might well be February. We shall have to see. The last deck I really want to deep dive is, this one. Let's get to it. It's the Every Little Thing You Do is Magic Tarot and super duper fantastic journal. The actual deck comes with a guidebook. In hindsight, obviously I haven't worked this deck at all. In hindsight, I'm wondering if I possibly only should have purchased the journal. maybe that's a bit of a daft idea. I don't know. You know, I love the cards, and I mentioned I spoke about this deck in my recent haul video. I was like on the fence with this deck. I pre-ordered it, then I cancelled it. Then I pre-ordered it, then I cancelled. And I was following the creator on Instagram. Loved what I was seeing, and I don't know. I was just so back and forth on this deck, and then I saw Livy, I want to say the name is, from Crescent Dreams Tarot. They were using this deck for Kelly Bear's tarot advent practice, and the way they were speaking and showing the book and the deck and talking and and just their experience swung it for me. I was like, what am I waiting for? What am I waiting for? I'm going to purchase it. And when I got the deck in, I mentioned this also very recently, I read the Devil card, and it resonated for me so much because the Devil card is my card of the year for 2025, and for what I'm working with shadow work now, it hit a home run for me, and that so intrigued me. So it's not being worked with in January, but I can see it coming up in February. I've got a lot that's going to be coming up in the early part of this year, I feel. But I can't wait to get my hands on this book, and even the deck, to be honest. I'm going to say, I don't regret buying the deck, but I wonder if I could have, just purchased the book. But now it's done, and I'm sure once I've worked with that, I'm going to say, no, I'm so glad I bought the cards. I've got nothing bad to say about it because I haven't worked with it. And I don't know why I mentioned that about not purchasing the deck. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop talking. No offence to anybody. I was thinking more about my bank account and possibly not, having another deck on my shelf. But, it's all good. Let's move along. All this deep diving going on, I am most definitely going to be wanting to get these books out to help me with ideas to bond with the decks in different ways. So we've got the Tarot Playbook by Linda Cowles. This is a great book. 78 Novel Ways to Connect with Cards. Love that. I've used this book. 365-day challenge with tarot and oracles for busy souls. Now I'm wondering if this might be a way in for this deck. Using it, for 365 days. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm wondering if possibly this might give me some really good ideas to, find a way in with that deck. Connecting with the Tarot, a guide for bonding with your deck by Dawn Michelle. I want to get into this one a bit more. And this is a book that sits on my desk quite often. Journaling the Tarot, a little book of big questions. So these books are definitely going to be prominent in my practice this year, along with tarot spreads. This is a book I bought last year, I think. Had it for birthday or Christmas, can't remember. And dipped into it a little bit. And I really want to get into some more spreads. And I kind of got inspired by Christy at Green Eye Tarot. They have a little mini-series that's called Spread It Out Sunday, whereby they choose a spread from a guidebook, an existing guidebook in their collection, from a deck. Now, Christy really inspired me, and I'm thinking of, getting more into this book and working with more spreads, and even randomly pulling out guidebooks that I have and using the spreads from those. So for here, for instance, this is a bit of a shadow work deck, I'm going to say. It's a deck I'm working with in January, spoiler alert. So for instance, spread 3 here, we've got the Unrecognised Self, or the Plutonian, and we've even got, what's the last one there? We have Integrating the Shadow. This is really relevant to obviously what I'm working with now with my practice with the shadow work, and I thought the idea that Christy had with that was really great. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it on Sundays as well, as Christy releases the videos, merely because I'm day off always on a Sunday and I have more time on my hands, so I've got time to pull a guidebook, and I'm going to do it very intuitively, just pull a random guidebook and pull a spread, and I just thought it would be, a really fun exercise for the year. Talking of spreads, I've got one more spread that I'm going to talk about. Okay, so we're talking about interviewing tarot deck spreads. Now, this is my go-to interview spread when I get a new deck in. And I was really inspired by, now my mind is gone a blank. I think the channel name is Leap of Faith. I'm going to put the name on the screen now, and I'm going to link their video in the description box. And they were speaking about a spread for before buying a new deck. And I was like, that's a fantastic idea. So that's my plan for. It's something I'm kind of, I'm kicking about and working with and for prompts for. But so the plan is that when I want to bring a new deck into my collection, I'm going to pull forward another deck that I trust and rely on, and do a spread based around the need to purchase this new deck and why it's calling to me. So as mentioned, I'm sure they're called Leap of Faith, also did like a live about a spread they had created. I haven't watched that yet, but I'm going to link that in the description box as well, so go take a look. But the kind of questions that I'm kicking about are, why am I feeling drawn to this deck? And obviously, shuffle my deck that I've already got and pull a card. What does it want to teach me? What does the new deck want to teach me? What is the guiding energy of the new deck? Where can it help me in my practice? What kind of energy does this deck channel? Do I have another deck in my collection that can fill the same function? Now, I'm not really sure how that's going to work out with a tarot card pull, but maybe I will use that as a yes, no question, possibly using even cards as a yes and odd cards as a no. Not overly sure. And I'm not sure if a card comes out as a yes, I'm not really sure how I'm going to be able to, decipher what the deck is, but we shall, this is just ideas basically. What will be the result of me buying this deck, and who or what can this new deck help me to channel? So I'm thinking if it's like a guide or an ancestor or something like that. So yes, so that's also my plan. I'm not going to say I'm not doing any kind of low buy year, because you know what a terrible disaster my low buy year was last year. It's so embarrassing, I don't even want to say it. But I am going to try and deep dive the decks, as mentioned, that I showed you. So I'm hopefully going to be kept busy. Yeah, and I might well bring the odd one or two decks into my collection this year. I really want to keep a better record of the decks I'm bringing in as well, so I can have a clear idea at the end of the year where my money's gone and what decks are new on my shelves. So yes, so that's it. Goodness me, that was a blooming long video. Apologies, but I do hope this was like interesting, and maybe it gave you some ideas, or yeah, it sparked a bit of inspiration. Let me know in the comment section, what are your plans for 2025? Are you adding any new practices for the year? Are you planning on any kind of deep dive or any specific decks that you want to work with? Let me know in the comment section. I would love to know, because I'm a nosy Mowgli. Why is my camera going in and out? What's going on? Hello. Anywho, I'm going to thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening. What's going on? Wherever you are, take care, and hope to see you in the next video. Toodles.